Welcome to the Biz Gone Social podcast. We help entrepreneurs navigate how to get known, get customers, and get the edge over their competition. Here is your host, Lorraine Duncan.
So here we are on the Biz Gone Social podcast, and I am so glad to be here. And my promise to you, as always, is I want to give you a little bit of verbal caffeine that's going to energize your business and help you stay social. Because after all, don't you want to be the business that everyone's talking about? I know I do. So I am so stoked today to have a really special guest with me, Tyler. Welcome, Tyler.
Thank you so much for having me. It's an honor.
So why don't you tell me a little bit about your business, what you do, and who you serve?
Yeah. And so I'm getting involved with so many things these days that I've put it succinctly in this way recently that I fight bullies and I help underdogs. That's the culmination of all my work I do, whether it's around charity or whether it's around business. I think that summarizes it really well. I could leave it there, or I can deep dive further.
No, that's great. You're like the Robin Hood entrepreneur without stealing from the rich and giving to the poor.
I mean, in a way, yeah. I mean, I think that it should be less stealing and more earned, but I like to put people in systems where they can earn it, right? So,
yeah, and it's interesting because you the underdog, I remember when I was a little girl, I used to watch a cartoon called Underdog. And It's like, we always, for some reason, it's like I'm a big football fan, big basketball fan, big hockey fan, and every once in a while, and baseball too, for that matter, but I'm always rooting for the underdogs. And It's very rare that I meet a person in business that's rooting for the underdogs. And I really love that. I love that. And so there had to be something in your life that makes you have more empathy for the underdogs. What was that?
And I think that's the key and the reason I believe in collateral impact systems. And so when you do one thing, the action is either a good or the response is either a good or bad thing. And we talk about collateral impact as such a negative thing. So I work on making it a positive thing. And I have my own things in life that I've overcome, and I have a little bit of my own underdog journey. But what I've realized through, we have a podcast on bullying that's a charity podcast, and I've interviewed a lot of people that come from adversity into success. Love Malcolm Gladwell. He talks a lot about underdogs. He's got some good books around those lines, and underdogs actually win more often than not, but they can't play by the same rules. And I'm not talking cheating. They just have to do it differently. And so I think, that's the reason I'm so passionate about helping underdogs, is because underdogs are who change the world, right? Because I love people that can have a heart for systems that they were never a part of, right? But usually it's the people that were part of a horrible system that now we have to bring to success, because they're the ones that will change those things, right? Because they have a heart, and then not only that, they know how to do it, because they were immersed into it. And nobody's going to be better at fixing a system than those who were immersed into it. And so I think I answered your question, it's really about changing things and eliciting those that did, and knowing from my own personal experiences what I've tried to do with the successes I've had. So I want more people to make it.
That's awesome. Now, you talk about the underdogs and moving forward. You have assisted tons of struggling entrepreneurs. What would you say is the most common hurdle you've seen in these entrepreneurs that they've faced, and how do you advise them to overcome it?
Yeah, I mean, that's honestly, it always has the same themes. And luckily for me, I started my business with nothing. I had no help to do it, and so I made all kinds of mistakes. Right? I went through a lot of pain to learn the things that I learned. But now it's so easy for me to walk into somebody's business and be like, "Oh, yep, I know that one because I made that one. Here's how I fixed it." And people quite often are like, "Tyler, it's so easy when you say it that way." I was like, "Yeah, of course it is, but you didn't go there for the years worth of pain that it took to get to where it was easy, right?" And so the number one thing I see these days is everybody thinks it's about marketing. Absolutely. Everybody's like, if I could do more in marketing, okay, where would you put 50 grand? I put it into marketing. Okay, great. Where are you going to, what are we going to market? And they'll say, well, I'm going to market this candy bar, and it's like, okay, well, what's your margin on that candy bar? And they'll be like, I don't know. I'm like, okay, let's backtrack. Let's look into the financials. And so when we shake down the financials, and I don't want to go too deep into that, but when we shake down the financials, we look at it and it's like, you're actually losing money to sell that caddy bar. So now you want to spend this money to market something that's losing you money so you can lose more money. And I would say that's like one of the number one things I see, but most of the mistakes around accounting, right? It's like, and I just listened to one of your podcasts and the guy was talking about reframe, right? Like reframing your business. And he calls it the only, I reframe people's businesses for financial reasons. He did it for marketing reasons, right? I think we need to do it for financial reasons. We need to look at our business differently in the monetization of what it is. You're not necessarily a hairstylist. Turns out you rent chair space, right? Now we can analyze the business financially. I don't look it, but I'm a huge accounting nerd, finance nerd. It's the crystal ball for your business. If people are struggling in their business, I guarantee it's because of their financials.
Absolutely. And, some people don't, some people are not gifted, like I'm not gifted in numbers per se, as I don't want to sit here and study my numbers, but you do have to know the numbers. Because if, like you have to know when you have that bad week or bad month or bad year or bad quarter. And, I've seen it firsthand experience. My husband is a plumbing contractor who now actually is teaching, but still owns his business. But long story short, I believe it was during the crash of like 2007, 2008.
Yeah.
We were just like, we got hit with this like huge IRS bill. And I didn't know about it. So I was the one that was running the books, and he just took it and put it in a drawer.
Oh no.
So I'm cleaning out the drawer, getting stuff ready for the accountant's like, and what is this? But the problem with that is that would have been fine. And we paid it and it's all good now, of course. But here's what wasn't good, not knowing the numbers for that year. And when we finally looked at it, because of what a crazy year it was, in many ways, we were actually half down.
Yeah.
And so I was living the life and he was living the life like what we've always made, And so I say that because you really do have to look at your numbers. So I'm glad you brought that up. And speaking of numbers, what do you say is the best thing to do when, like, say you're not a numbers person, hiring somebody? I mean, we've all heard the bad stories about, like, we think of Billy Joel, for instance. He had a financial advisor that was like robbing from him and stuff like that. What do you suggest that we do when it comes to numbers as entrepreneurs? Should we hire an accountant, a bookkeeper? What is the first step, would you say?
I'm so glad you asked that. And, here's the thing. I don't follow any of the traditional business trends these days. I'll be the first to tell you that when you first start, you're working in your business, not on your business, and so I don't think. And let's just talk numbers for a second, because I work from a different system, right? And your husband and you work from a different system as well. We're not I just got stroked a check for $5 million. I'm going to start my business. We're the start from nothing, scrape it together, move along, right? And unfortunately, there's a different sense of rules there. And so when people say work on your business, you're wrong if you're not working on your business. How the heck are you going to do that when you're the first person starting on your own? No, you're working in your business from the beginning. Eventually, there's a new stage where you work on your business. So I don't, believe it or not, I'm not going off on a rant. This actually has to do with what I suggest for accounting, because initially you are the person. There's nobody to look at. And honestly, most of you can't afford an accountant right off the bat, and you have to learn it. I can teach somebody accounting and make it fun in 2 hours. I promise you, I do it all the time. Right. And once you know, like, it sucks because almost like if you have somebody that's gone through a year or two of suffering with accounting, then they love it even more, but I'd rather teach them off the bat, it's like, so, but they don't know what they're missing if I could teach them off the bat, or what they were missing. So even if you have, I call it a teammate, let's have a good teammate, right? And so you have a good CPA, maybe you can afford them off the bat. Maybe you have to wait a little while to get this person. I use that as a check and balance. Otherwise, I'm in my books a little bit, and then my office manager's in our books. Until you can afford an in-house accountant, you should be in your books because nobody's going to understand your business that way. When you hire a bookkeeper, they're just going to mark off transactions. They're not going to take the time to say, this transaction specifically has to go in this bucket. And if these aren't bucketed right, then you're not getting true depiction from your numbers of what's going on with the business. So you have to have your hands in and not only that, here's another hopefully not too big of side ramp, is small businesses get taken advantage of. It's one of the biggest greed systems in the world because they know that quite often we hire a bookkeeper that just checks things off to an expense. If you're the business owner that's actually in there, you're like, wait a minute, my cell phone bill is not supposed to be $200. It was supposed to be $50. But you don't notice these things. And these systems are actually built. I dealt with the trash service the other day, dumpster rental. They automatically just increase prices because they know small business owners aren't in their books looking at it, right? So I hope that doesn't fall too far off track, but I think that's a couple reasons to be in your books at least a little bit. It's nice if you can have a bookkeeper to double check what you're doing, maybe reconcile at the end of the month. But all this is like clarity of data. Most small business owners are like, I'm doing the books for the IRS. That's the only reason I'm doing the books for the IRS. No, that's wrong. Do your books for you. Get a clear depiction in what's going on with the business, and then you get to have it ready for the IRS, right?
Yeah, no, I absolutely, this is actually good because it's not off topic at all because, my audience is B2B. So it's like, people need to listen to this. This is so important because, I've noticed like one time I was looking at everything that I was, how you download an app and you pay like $1.99 or you put your credit card on the app. And then if you don't want it, of course, you have to tell them. But if you don't tell them, they're going to charge you that $1.99 a month. So one day
forever.
I looked at my statement, like my bank statement. I'm like looking at all these charges and I'm like, I literally just went onto my Apple phone and just, I canceled every single service. And it was like, I don't know, like $1,500, $2,000 I saved a year by just not it's like, now, I'm not a serial buyer like you may think I am because I'm not, but it's like, this is a cool app. And then you never use it because I'm on my phone so much because of what I do. And so it's really funny because if you're not looking at your numbers, I don't want to be spending $2,000 a year on apps, no. Who does, and I remember I did that during even when we were in COVID, just in case, I wasn't sure how my business was going to do. I wasn't sure how Bill's business was going to do. So we literally, it turned out Bill became a necessity. So he didn't miss a beat. And it turned out because of who my clients were, it didn't work out so well for me. But if I didn't cut down the cost and still continue to move forward, it would have been a disaster. So you have to know, yes, if cable says that they're only going to charge you $50 a month and you're paying $115, which they like to do, by the way, just keep on switching. Just keep on the rule of that.
Right, the second you're not paying attention. Yeah.
And that's what they're hoping for. And honestly, they know that
their business models are built on it now. That's how if it doesn't, all the entrepreneurs I've worked with, I've learned a lot, and I see the same things. But if I didn't know it from working with people personally, I would just be able to look at people's business models because they automatically, when you're not looking, they automatically increase the price. They do it. It's part of their business model. They see if they get caught, and your bookkeeper is not going to catch them because they're not in there. They don't understand your business the way you do.
And it's interesting is that it's shame on, like we all do it. I know as entrepreneurs that even if we are in our books and we miss things, we don't, sometimes we glance over a bill or something that's coming in and we should really pay attention to it. So it's like, and it's easy. You could do QuickBooks, and you can, if you're entering everything in, you're seeing firsthand what everything is costing.
Yeah.
So, and
take
then,
one account at least and work on it. Take one bank account and work on it. Maybe have your officer manager work on one if you're getting that big. But yeah, until you can afford to have the person in the building that absolutely understands your business. Believe me, I've been through this. You don't have to go through this pain if you're new to business. Like, you don't have to go through it, because I went through the oh, and shoot, it's the end of the year. We haven't done anything with the transactions. Let's hire a bookkeeper. So then you hire the bookkeeper. They ran through all the transactions. We got no real data out of that. We knew what we made, and when we knew what, that sort of stuff. But we didn't know individually in each bucket what we made, what we were spending the most money on, all these things. So the next year, oh, I'm not going to do that again. No way. So you get the bookkeeper from the beginning, and you get somebody that doesn't know your business, and then they're just logging off transactions, no true transparency in the data. So this was a growth phase. I'm working on something right now. I do all the consulting I do for small businesses is free. And so I try to develop tools, and I'm working on something right now that's basically 2 hours. I will teach you from business from A to Z, and I'll tell you a story of why and how I started. It's my original thing was a side hobby at my house, and I kept receipts in a folder, right? And I explain how that receipts in the folder becomes variable, direct, in fixed cost, that sort of stuff. And I graduated all the way on to getting an MBA towards the end of that business. And now I was interested in costing systems, so you can get better and better data. And I bring people through this story of a journey along the way and tell them how they can do it. And I promise, even if you're not a numbers person, it's not hard. It's easy. And once you latch on to man, this is a crystal ball for my business. Now I can actually make decisions. Then it's okay, I love this. This is one thing that helps me in my business journey.
Yeah, no, this is awesome. I'm going to switch gears just a little bit here, because in the green room earlier, we were talking about shorts.
Yeah.
And I want to delve into that, because a lot of people are doing social media that are listening to this right now. And I think this would be very profitable for them to learn a little bit more about this angle. So tell me, you said you recently went to a seminar or something, and you learned a whole bunch of things on YouTube. So tell me the biggest thing you learned, and how it's going to impact you and how it may impact your clients.
So I would say the biggest thing off the bat is small business people are humble people, and they're afraid of this technology that exists out there. I work with a lot of small business people. I know this, right? And in my first business, just, to kind of give you a little bit of history on me with this stuff, I was offered 4 reality shows. I turned them all down. I was afraid of the social media. We'd randomly throw up a video one time, like I was telling you right before this, randomly throw up a video once a while. I looked the other day. This is an old company that I've sold now, but that video is up to 8 million hits. It's had we been giving people this content, we would have been even further. So first of all, business owners, I know you're afraid of it. I implore you, please get involved with this, because as small business people, it's the number one resource we can use right now. And it can give you throw a video on the screen. I mean, let me put it this way. What would it cost to have a commercial at the Super Bowl in 1995, which was probably one of the biggest times to have it? And our answer would be millions and millions of dollars, right? You make the right video, and this could be a video you make right now with your phone, and you can have more impact than that for free. That's incredible, right? And so you have to take advantage of what's going on with that. You have to get over the fear. That's where I work mostly, is get over the fear, because you owe it to your family, you owe it to your business, you owe it to your employees to do the best you possibly can by your business. So get over this fear, right? Social media is important. It is the best marketing thing in the world right now. So I went to Vid Summit, and the focus was specifically on YouTube. And I'll just kind of I don't know how high level, low level to go with this, so I'm going to stay a little bit low level. With your business right now, there is tremendous opportunity in, I don't care what your business is. Everybody wants to argue with me about TikTok. There's no reason not to use TikTok. You need to make one video, right, for your business. Talk about a question that everybody asks you. Talk about a pain point that everybody talks about. What's the number one thing that everybody asks when they call? Make a little video about that. Clip it up in a program like CapCut. It would take you 20 minutes to do this. And now post it on TikTok, post it on Reels, post it on Facebook, post it on YouTube Shorts, make it 1 minute or under so it fits into all those categories, right? I won't go into repurposing and stuff right now, but imperative that you do that. It's free organic reach. And it wasn't that long ago that Facebook was charging you to have any sort of reach whatsoever. They've opened the floodgates right now because they're competing with TikTok. So in my theory, I think eventually we're going to be looking at we're going to have to pay to get content out there again. I don't like, just to backtrack on that slightly. I don't know if you recall, like, even if you had Facebook followers that opted into seeing your business stuff, there was a point in time where you actually had to pay still. Even though those people said, I want to see your stuff, you still had to pay to direct content to them. Right now, not only are we organically growing, but your audience sees it too, right? So please, if I give you one thing today, then make videos, make short form videos, become a part of what's going on right now, because it's free marketing and you never know where it can go.
Yeah. And, I'm learning so much lately about who's going to start charging to do stuff and who's not.
Yeah.
And X just came out, which is formerly Twitter, with, this ridiculous pricing plan for agencies and other things. And then I found this by accident today while I was doing something on Instagram, that they have this new thing called verified profile, and they want to charge you $14.99 a month for having a verified profile. So take Tyler's advice, and while you can, get that free marketing out there, because we don't know where this is going to end up. Elon Musk has basically started this whole trend, and that was the trend from the beginning, because in the beginning, how everybody was making their money was on advertising. So now it's a little bit different. They're, pretty soon it's going to be pay to play all the way through every single one of these. That's my prediction. It's going to be pay to play. So
it's going to go there. It was there before. The only reason is they're having this, I call it the TikTok war, right? That's the reason it's opened up. And Facebook thought it was all about, man, if Facebook would hire me for like an hour, I could fix their business. But, but they don't want to hear it from a little business guy.
Well, I'll write them and tell them, I am going to tell them that they need to hire you for an hour.
Yeah. The only thing is, like, some days I'm like, well, do I really want to help them? It's like, but at the basis of all this, you'll notice I spend a little bit more time talking less about the logistics, because you can look this up. If you want to follow me, I try to talk a lot about it, these days. We have a studio. I bought a production studio about 3 months ago. That's how much I believe in this stuff. So I went from fear completely to now I use it as a tool. We have our Content for Good initiative, where I have 2 different podcasts and a docuseries now that we work on monetizing for the benefit of charity. We're also launching a new thing around here where it's kind of basically, we're trying to name it right now. Please connect to me and give me a great name for it. But we think that the older generation ought to be able to use this tool that I'm talking to you on now. And can you imagine if Socrates didn't have the tree? Right. And so, like, the older generation, we're losing their content. It's the younger generation on there. Right. And the older generation has amazing stories that just don't have a way to share them. So we actually, on location here, we're offering soon, come in, tell your grandpa, come in, tell some stories. We'll collect that as content. We'll post it out in the world, because we think we need to be learning from the wisdom of the older generation so it doesn't get lost. So I became from.
By the way, I love that.
Oh, thank you.
I'm part of the older generation, believe it or not, and I'm a baby boomer, and and it's like nobody wants to hear from us anymore. We're like, pretty soon we're all going to be dinosaurs, and
we need to keep those alive. Those stories need to stay alive.
That's what I wish news was, to be honest with you. I'm tired. I don't watch the news that much. I mean, it's just a drain. So it's like, I literally want to know what's good and new and what's positive. So I switch gears here a little bit, because we could talk for hours. And literally, this is the kind of the part where we get a little bit real and honest. Not that we're not always honest, but we want to be real. And, what do you love the most about being in business for yourself?
I was never one of those people that, like, always wanted to be in business or knew they could be in business, or, like some of the best business people in the world are like, I sold candy bars when I was 13. It's like, no, when I was 13, I had a full-time job. I was just trying to, like, have some food and some clothes. I never thought I could be an entrepreneur. I thought that was for some other class of person with a rich father or something like that. And I begrudgingly got into it. I talk about my story every once in a while if somebody wants to connect to me and learn about it. But The thing for me is through a lot of businesses, I've learned that the most important thing, the best thing about being in business, because there's a lot of bad that nobody talks about except me. So it is, you get to change things that you're passionate about. Look at the top people in the world. If Bill Gates wants to change something right now, he can change it. But what's awesome too is like you get a guy like the founder of Patagonia, he's passionate about climate change, the world. He wants mountains to exist for the younger generation. So what did he do? You could start a charity, right? And if you had some connections, you could make a couple $1 million worth of impact maybe a year. Instead, he's founded Patagonia. He gave a little bit of the clothing sales every year, which added to a ton of money. He just sold his shares. I don't know if you heard about this. His shares were worth $3 billion, and he's given that all to climate change. Right? So here from business, we can make more impact on absolutely anything in the world just by starting businesses. And that's why, you asked me why businesses fail or what do I see that's a problem. And I mentioned the marketing thing, but more so is people quit. And so my biggest thing is I tell people, make business a mission. Right? If your business can align with a mission and I tell people, don't do something that you love, do something you hate. And come up with a tool to solve that thing you hate, right? Because it is hard to quit a mission. It's easy to quit a business, especially when the world propaganda tells you, oh, it's all working your own hours, making a ton of money. You know what the average wage is for a small business owner? $14 an hour, right? You better make that business worth something. And I want you to get past the $14 an hour. And that's why I work with Underdogs. I want to bring Underdogs their success because when they're successful, they can change the things they're passionate about. These are the people that are really going to change the world. So
I love that, and you kind of touched on it all throughout, the interview, but a lot of our friends and family may think we're cool. Maybe like my parents are always asking me, when am I going to get a real job?
Yeah.
But other than that, it's like when, what is one thing that you see that you struggle with that, most people do struggle with, that we all know that we have these struggles as being a business owner. We all know that it is hard, but it's one thing that you struggle with in today's world.
There's a lot, but honestly, like so I sold my last company. So I started a couple others so my first company I started a couple others while I was in that business, actually sold that business off about 2 years ago. And I was afraid to death to do it. And one of the bigger struggles I had within it is, would I regret this? Right. And now I'm into businesses that I absolutely love every day. Like my life is awesome. People come into my businesses and they say, I'm blessed to be here. And I feel like I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing in life. So I think the confliction is when we first start, we don't know how to start the right kind of business, right? And then we get so immersed into that. We work so hard at it. We don't know how to not do that anymore. And so I would say that really analyzing your business from the start is something that's imperative. For me now, it's focus. It's like, I know I can do anything now. There's no business I'm afraid of. It's where to put the majority of my focus. And so that's my biggest struggle. And then to be quite honest, I'm way more interested in my charity stuff than I am in my business stuff, which is okay at this stage in my career, and so, at times I should focus a little bit more on, the business end probably, because when I have $1 billion, I can make even more impact for the charities, so hopefully I didn't dodge that question too much. But
because I think it's something we all, the struggle sometimes is that, we have to, keep on moving forward even when we have a bad week. Because there should always be, and for anything we do, there should be always an ultimate goal. For you, it's charity. I'm similar. There's a lot of charities that I'm really involved with. I just recently finished my 100-mile ride for child cancer.
That's awesome.
I do a lot of missions work. And so all these kind of things need money. Like I have my bike tuned up. I have to raise money, and I don't consider myself, it's like I do the bare minimum. Like if they say to raise $500, that's what I do, because I figured if I can't get people to give me $500, then literally I can actually put the $500 in. But each year I try to do a little bit more. And it's interesting. You need money to do the things that you care about. And
you do, and you can change so much with it.
Yeah. I mean, you can't, if you're always wrapped in your business and always looking from paycheck to paycheck, those things won't happen. The dreams that you have. I mean, my husband just moved into a whole new stage of his career, and it's like, who would have ever thought, and it's like, and we still get to run the business. So these kind of things are things that you have to always be thinking of. So this has been great. One piece of universal advice that you could give my audience right now that will help them move forward.
Yeah, I would say for those of you starting a business or maybe in one, make sure that has life alignment to where you want to be. I mean, it's one of the bigger mistakes I made is starting a business I knew, which is important because it's a good stat around 75. You're 75 times more likely to succeed in a business, but also get one that aligns to your heart, because then it's impossible to quit. And, there's every single business can have that. And I think the world's becoming more in tune with that. I think the younger generation's doing a great job. We need to make our businesses not only monetize, because that's absolutely important. You have to keep the business alive, but be about something, right? And so we as business owners change the world. We absolutely do, more than politicians, more than anybody else. So I would say really make sure what you are doing is good work. Make sure you're solving a problem that you love. And I guarantee if you don't quit, you never fail, and you won't quit a mission.
Absolutely. Well, this has been such a pleasure. I'm so really honored that I have met you, and we got to have a little chat even before we got on here. So somebody resonated with you, which I know somebody would have had to, because you're so amazing. Please,
thank you.
Tell us how to get in touch with you. And if there's anything you're offering to them, just tell us all about it.
So I get involved with so much. I'll try not to bombard your audience. I'm really easy to connect with on a lot of social media sources. Probably Instagram is the easiest to get me. @Tyler Uriah is my handle. And just throw back to what I said. I was so afraid of social media, I invented a pseudonym, which is actually my middle and first name and middle name. And nobody knew about it, right? And now it's grown and people are starting to find out about it. But connect to me there if you have business questions, if you want to get involved with any of the things we're involved with. Glad to help you. Underdogs, our new podcast, which is content for good. All the proceeds go to charity. Bully This is our bully podcast, which once again, content for good. All the proceeds go to charity. Docuseries, Redefining Heroes. We travel the world seeking founders of foundations that are amazing. First episode will launch early next year. If you're in Phoenix and you need help with business, then we have a couple free workspaces and we do seminars monthly. I think I bombarded them enough, but if you need help, reach out.
No, that's awesome. And we'll definitely put everything in our social media posts for you when we put them out there. I want to thank you again. And this is Lorraine Duncan from BizGone Social. Please subscribe. Please actually subscribe to our friend Tyler's, all of their social media. And until next week, I'll see you soon. Take care.
Thanks for listening to the BizGone Social podcast. Find us on Instagram @BizGone Social for extra tips. Check back weekly for new episodes. Until next time, stay social.